Hi everyone, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. I'm really happy you're here. Tonight, we're going to go on a calm and quiet trip to learn something amazing. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this peaceful science story together. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? If you like relaxing science videos, don't forget to tap the like button. Now let's begin.
Nothing about the smallest things looks simple, yet they still make the world steady enough for you to rest your head. Imagine a still pond just before sunrise. The air is cool and quiet. A tiny bug touches the water and a circle spreads out in soft rings. Now imagine that the bug is not a bug at all but a piece of light or a bit of matter so small it slips through spaces we cannot see. That tiny touch sends out a kind of whisper through the pond of reality. The whisper is not a sound. It is a pattern of maybes. It is a gentle hum of where the small thing could be next. This is how the quantum world begins to speak. If you look at a speck of dust dancing in a sunbeam, you might think it moves without plan. But that dust still lives in the large, calm world where rules feel solid. Push it and it goes, stop it and it settles. The tiniest bits are not like that. They are shy and lively in the same breath. They do not only sit in one place, they spread like fog even while they keep a kind of center. They are not only one thing. They are both here and there, both wave and particle, both ink drop and ripple that the ink drop makes. This does not make sense like a chair or a shoe, yet it works so well that all chairs and shoes exist because of it. Think of a hummingbird that is too quick for your eyes. When it darts, you can say where it is, but by the time you speak, it has already moved. When it hovers, you can feel its speed, the buzz of its wings, but its place blurs. The tiniest bits are like that, except this is not about slow eyes. It is a law of nature. If you hold the place very tight, the speed slips away. If you hold the speed very tight, the place slips away. The more you squeeze one, the more the other squirms free. This is not a mistake in our tools. It is the way the world keeps its secrets and stays balanced. Picture a coin spinning on a table. While it spins, it is not heads, it is not tails, it is both in a soft, honest way. Only when your finger stills it do you see one side face up. The tiny bits do something like this, but even more strange. They can move through two doors at once while they are left alone to be gentle. They can hold different choices at the same time. They can be a song that contains many notes at once, not loud, not harsh, but like a choir humming in the next room. In that hum, there is no need to pick just one note. The many notes together are the truth of that moment. Now imagine a wall with two thin slits and a screen behind it. If you throw grains of sand, two neat piles form. That feels normal. But if you let tiny pieces of light or matter flow one at a time, the screen slowly fills with a pattern of bright and dark bands as if ripples crossed and folded. Each small traveler seems to act like a wave that spreads, and the two slits make two waves that meet. Where the waves lift each other, the screen glows. Where they cancel, it dims. Even when you send the pieces one by one, the same soft pattern appears, as if each piece whispers with itself. This is hard to believe, yet it is what careful hands have seen again and again. You may ask, does the piece know it should be a wave? Does it know it should be a particle? It does not know in the way we know, it simply follows gentle rules. If you watch closely which slit it uses, the pattern of bands fades. The act of asking which way is like placing a finger on the spinning coin. The hush of maybes becomes one answer. The wave that was spread out becomes a small spot on the screen. The world chooses a note of the choir, but the choice does not come from eyes alone. It comes from any touch that makes the tiny traveler share its secret with the larger world. A stray atom, a photon, a warm breath of air will do. This is why the quantum dance hides from our daily life. You are wrapped in air and light and warmth. Every small thing near you is in constant touch with every other thing. These touches bind the notes together into one clear sound. When many, many pieces get tangled with the world around them, the soft choir collapses into the simple song we can hear. A dust mote, a drop of rain, a leaf on a tree, each is made of tiny waves, but each is touched by so much that the waves stop spreading far. The fog of maybes becomes the clean edges of the leaf you can hold. Still, we can coax the tiny songs to sing again. In cool, quiet labs, people lower the temperature until motion slows. They polish mirrors, dim the lights, and use careful beams. They shield the little dancers from stray touches. In that hush, the old patterns return. A stream of atoms will make bands of light and dark like a whisper of the sea. A beam of electrons will curve in waves. Light will act like a grain of sand and a ripple at the same time. When we see these things, our minds bend. Nothing makes simple sense, but there is a deep peace in how the rules keep repeating. The rules do not shout, they murmur. A wave in this tiny world is not the S. Aim as the wave you surf, yet a beach can help you picture it. On a beach, a wide wave means the water knows where to go, but not exactly. In the quantum world, a wide wave means the small thing could be in many places. A narrow wave means it is more likely in a small area. The wave is not water, it is a map of maybes. The math behind it is like a steady hand drawing lines that show where brightness will appear on the screen. In that math, the wave can add to itself, split, and meet. When it meets, it can make more or less, bright or dim, yes or no. This is how the world writes with mist. You may wonder if the world waits for a human to look at it before it decides. It does not. A look is only one kind of touch. A blade of grass can be a witness. A grain of dust can be a witness. A single photon, a bit of light that bumps into a particle, can be enough to make the wave pick a place. The world is always touching itself. In those touches, choices settle. Yet if the touches are few and gentle, the spread-out hum can stay. Then we glimpse how the small things wander through more than one door, how they keep many futures resting together like leaves in a book. Think of how your body uses light from the sun. In tiny green rooms inside leaves, energy flows from light to life. Some studies suggest that the first steps of that flow carry a hint of wave-like spread, as if the energy tries many paths at once and keeps the best one. Even if that hint is small and quick, it shows a language shared by rocks and rivers and roots in your own hands. In your eyes, the first spark of sight is a tiny jump in a tiny molecule. It is not a big burst. It is a soft click, a choice between maybes, set off by a single piece of light. You live in these small decisions without feeling them. In the cool of night, look up. The stars send pieces of light across the deep dark. Each one carries a chance, not a promise. It reaches your eye and changes you in a way too small to feel. What guided that piece here? We can say it came on a path that acts like a wave, spreading and bending around space. We can say once it touched your eye, the spread narrowed to a point. Both pictures are needed, one for the hush before the touch, one for the moment of touch. This is the strange calm of the quantum dance. Two simple pictures are each half true, and both together make the world work. When we teach this, we sometimes use big words, but the heart of it is gentle. The world is not a stack of tiny marbles. It is a choir of small, soft notes that can swell and fade and meet. When no one and nothing forces a decision, the notes stay many at once. When the world taps the table, the song lands on one clear tone. From these tones, atoms form. From atoms, molecules. From molecules, water and salt and sap and bone. You are built from choices that once were maybes. You breathe air that was once a wave of chance. The floor under your feet was once a cloud of possibility that the world slowly called into shape. You can hold a simple image to steady your mind. Picture a lantern in a fog. The light spreads out in all directions. When the fog is thick, it glows close to the lantern. When the fog is thin, it glows farther. The wave of a tiny thing is like that glow. The glow is a map that tells where it could be. If you place a small screen here, you might catch it there. If you place the screen a bit to the side, you might catch it there instead. There is no secret track that the tiny thing must follow. There is only the soft rule. Where the glow is brighter, it is more likely to arrive. Where the glow is dark, it rarely does. Even time here feels loose. For tiny things, the future and the past can whisper to each other. A choice you make later can shape the pattern you see now. It is not that you, the person, reach back and change yesterday. It is that the soft rules tie events together in a way that our daily language does not fit. Some experiments show this gentle knot. We learn to accept it, the way we accept that the horizon looks close but is far, or that a rainbow never lets you touch its end. The world is wider than our first words, yet our words can still be kind enough to hold it. In the end, this dance of uncertainty is not a mistake in the fabric of things. It is the fabric. The knot is not a hole. It is a thread that keeps the weave from tearing. If every small thing were fixed in place and speed, the world would be brittle. Instead, it is soft and alive. It allows patterns to rise and fade. It allows warmth to spread and light to bend. It allows matter to share space and trade energy. What feels like nonsense becomes the quiet engine that makes stars burn and seeds sprout and nerves carry a thought from one end of you to the other. When you lie still and breathe, think of the space inside you. Most of an atom is space, but not empty like a vacant room. It is space shaped by the rules of tiny waves. Electrons do not orbit like planets in neat rings. They form soft clouds, places where they are likely to be, places where they shy away. These clouds stack and fit like gentle hands. That fitting decides how copper shines, how salt tastes, how water clings to your skin. The world's look and feel rise from clouds of maybes arranged in layers. You carry a sky inside your bones, and its weather is this quantum hum. Some days the mind wants firm ground. It wants the world to be simple marbles in a jar. There is comfort in that picture, but there is a greater comfort in the soft truth. The ground holds because the small things do not stand still. The light warms because it is both wave and peace. The path of an electron in a wire is not a straight line, but a dance that averages into a steady flow. Your phone, your lamp, your heartbeat, your voice in the night, all these depend on rules that let maybes work together until a yes appears. Now imagine you are back by the pond. The sky is lighter. A breeze curls the water. The bug touches down again and rings spread. For a moment, each ring is not one circle but many. Each crest carries a chance. They cross and fold and make places of lift and places of calm. If you placed a leaf here, it would bob. If you placed it there, it would rest. You are not confused by this. You smile. You see how the pond holds both order and play. The quantum world is like that, only smaller than sight. It is uncertain in a way that gives birth to pattern. It is complicated in a way that gives birth to peace. Let's drift deeper for a last breath before we pause. The dance of uncertainty asks for trust. Trust that a thing can be two kinds at once. Trust that a question can shape an answer by the very asking. Trust that not knowing is not a failure. It is a doorway to a wider kind of knowing, one that sits with a soft back and open hands. If you carry this feeling, the next steps will be gentle. We will explore how this dance ties far places together, how a touch here can rhyme with a touch there, how the world keeps time without a clock. For now, rest in the hush. The choir is still humming, the coin is still spinning, the pond is still holding the sky. The dance of uncertainty never stays alone. It spreads its rhythm into bonds and links, as if the notes of one quiet song can join another across vast distances. Imagine two violin strings tuned together. When one is plucked, the other hums in answer, even if they rest apart. In the quantum world, this hum is not sound. It is a secret handshake shared by particles. It is called entanglement, and it defies the borders of space. When two tiny things are born together or meet in a special way, their fates can braid. Even if you send them far apart, what happens to one seems to echo in the other. This is not a signal flying faster than light. It is a bond that does not care for the miles between. It is as if the two strings were never truly separate, but one long note stretched across the dark. Think of a pair of dice rolled together. In the ordinary world, you can look at one and then guess the other only with chance. But in the quantum bond, the two dice are linked. If one lands in a way, the other's result is locked, no matter the distance. It is not that the dice carried hidden notes of fate all along. Careful tests have shown that the link is deeper, stranger. It is as if the dice did not choose their faces until the moment of looking. And when one face is chosen, the other face follows as if guided by an unseen thread. This unsettled even Einstein, who called it spooky action at a distance. Yet again and again the experiments sing the same tune. The bond is real. The echo is real. Imagine fireflies blinking in a meadow. If they blink at random, the scene is a scatter of sparks. But sometimes they fall into rhythm, shining in waves so that the meadow itself seems to breathe with light. Entanglement is like that. Two sparks that were once near still shine in rhythm, even when carried to far fields. This does not mean you can send a message with them faster than light. The rhythm is too quiet for that. But it does mean that the meadow of the universe holds patterns that stretch across its wide body. In those patterns, distance shrinks, here and there lose their sharpness. The whole is more than the sum of parts. In the lab, scientists test this with beams of light. They split a photon into two, a pair born from one pulse. Each photon carries its own path, yet their polarizations remain linked. Send one through a crystal here, send the other through a crystal there, and the results hum together. Change the tilt of one crystal, and the linked hum shifts in the other's song. The link holds no matter if the photons are close or far, if they travel meters or miles. The bond is a soft tie that distance cannot cut. It is as though the universe itself whispers, once together, always together. Now pause and think of your own body. Each thought, each breath is a flow of signa. LS tiny charges, atoms moving. Some researchers wonder if traces of entanglement may play small roles in life's processes. The hints are faint, like whispers in a storm, but the question itself shows how the soft rules reach into all corners. In photosynthesis, the first step of capturing light seems to carry traces of a spread across paths. In birds, the way they sense Earth's magnetic field may involve entangled spins in their eyes. If so, the bird's compass is not just a needle, but a duet with quantum whispers. The air, the soil, the wing beats may all be joined in ways we barely know how to name. Entanglement leads us to wonder about the fabric of reality itself. If small pieces can be tied no matter the distance, perhaps space is not a simple empty stage. Perhaps the stage itself is woven from threads of connection. In some views of physics, space and time emerge from networks of entanglement, as if the bonds themselves stitch the cosmos. This idea is young, but it breathes with poetry. What if the farthest galaxies are not as far as we think, because the true closeness lies in hidden knots? What if you and the stars share a fabric finer than light years? In the hush of night, when you feel small under the sky, it may be true that you are tied to the sky more deeply than sight allows. To grasp entanglement is to let go of the picture of particles as tiny marbles. Instead, think of them as notes in a chord. Notes can travel apart, but the chord is still one thing. The sound of one note makes sense only in relation to the others. Remove one and the harmony changes. Keep them all and the chord glows with fullness. In this way, entangled particles are never fully themselves alone. They are halves of a larger story. They are brushstrokes of a wider painting. They are waves in a sea too wide for one eye to see all at once. Consider the ocean. A single wave rises here, another there. To the eye, they look apart. Yet beneath the surface, the whole sea moves as one. Entanglement feels like that hidden unity. The particles are crests, but the sea is their bond. The sea does not care about distance. A swell near one shore is still part of the same body as a swell near another. So too with the quantum world. The crests we call particles can be far, but the sea of connection remains whole. When you breathe, you ride one part of that sea. When a star burns, it rides another. Both belong to the same endless water. This bond of uncertainty stretches into time as well. Some experiments hint that entanglement can link not just space but past and future. A choice made now can ripple back to shape a correlation before. It is not that the past is rewritten like ink scrubbed from paper. It is that the quantum rules allow the story to be told in both directions and the telling holds together. Time here feels less like a line and more like a woven cloth. The threads cross, the weave is tight. If so, the dance of uncertainty is also the dance of memory and prophecy, both held in one hand. Entanglement also teaches us humility. We long for the world to break into pieces we can count and weigh. But the deeper we look, the more the pieces blur into each other. The boundaries dissolve. The world insists on being whole. It insists that knowing one part means you already touch another. It insists that knowledge itself is part of the story. The act of learning is not outside the world, but inside it, shaping it like a hand in wet clay. This humbles us, yet also lifts us. It means we are not strangers in the cosmos. We are threads in its weave. Even our dreams may echo with this truth. Think of the way a memory of childhood can glow when you smell a flower. The scent and the memory are far in kind, yet they hum together. In your mind, they entangle. In your life, one triggers the other. The quantum bond is more exact, more quiet, but it speaks the same language of links. Nothing stands alone. Everything leans on something else. The more we listen, the more we hear the chorus instead of the solo. And so the dance of uncertainty grows wider. It is not only about where a particle may be or how it may move. It is also about how it may join another, how two may become one song across space and time. This is the music of bonds that outlast distance. It is the poetry of a world where separation is not final. When you feel alone under the stars, you may remember that even the stars are tied by invisible cords. The photons they send may be linked, the atoms in their hearts may be joined, and in ways subtle and grand, so are you. Now drift deeper, let the bonds stretch in your mind like threads of light. Each thread hums with possibility, each knot hums with certainty. Together they make the fabric of the night sky. In this weave, nothing makes simple sense, but everything works. You are not outside the weave, looking in. You are inside it, woven from the same soft strands. When you breathe, you move the fabric. When you rest, you are held by it. This is the quiet truth the quantum world whispers, if you lean close enough to hear. The dance of uncertainty leads us at last to the quiet heart of possibility. If particles can spread like fog, and if bonds can stretch across space and time, then we are left to wonder what it means for the world we touch each day. Chairs feel solid, yet they are woven from clouds of maybe. Time feels steady, yet it is laced with soft crossings. We walk across a floor that is not as firm as it seems, yet it holds us without fail. The lesson here is not that the world is false. It is that the world is deeper than our senses can taste. The surface is calm water, the depths are restless and strange, and both are true. Imagine an orchestra tuning before a concert. Each instrument hums alone, strings warming, flutes whispering, drums tapping. The sound feels like confusion. But when the conductor lifts a hand, the voices fold into one. Order rises from the hum. The quantum world is like that prelude. At the level of the smallest pieces, the notes scatter uncertain, both sharp and soft. Yet when many gather, their maybes blend into certainty. The song of one particle may feel unsure, but the song of many becomes the music of a stone, a tree, or your own heartbeat. From the scattered tuning, the symphony of existence flows. Now picture the night sky once more. The stars shine with steady light, yet inside each star the quantum rules are at work. Nuclei fuse not by smooth collision alone, but by the dance of chance. They tunnel through barriers, slip through walls that seem unbreakable. This tunneling is not brute force but gentle bending, a ghostly step that allows reactions to happen. Without it, stars would struggle to burn and you would not see their light. The warmth you feel on your skin at dawn is a gift of uncertainty. It is the echo of particles moving through doors they should not fit, yet somehow do. Nothing makes sense, but everything works, and your morning sun is proof. In your own chest, quantum chance hums in the dance of nerves. Ions drift across membranes, not by straight march, but by probabilities that tilt the odds. A thought, a dream, a memory begins with the flow of charges that follow rules of maybes. The spark that tells your hand to lift or your lips to speak is born from the same strangeness as the photon through the slit. You live in the hum. You carry it in your every breath. When you feel confused by this, rest in the fact that confusion is the native language of the small. It is a kind of softness that makes life possible. Think also of empty space. When you close your eyes, you may imagine it as void, but the quantum view says the void is restless. Even in silence, tiny pairs of particles flicker into being and fade away. They are brief guests, borrowed from uncertainty itself. This restless sea is not loud. It is quiet enough that we walk and speak as if the void were still. Yet without it, forces would not balance, atoms would not hold, the cosmos would not swell as it does. The emptiness is not empty. It is full of a quiet dance that underlies all things. What looks like nothing is a soft engine that works everywhere, always. From this, we begin to see the paradox as a kind of poetry. The world does not have to make simple sense to be real. A seed does not explain itself before it sprouts. A river does not declare its logic as it bends. They move as they must, and we accept them. So too with the smallest scales. A particle does not owe us a reason for being wave and point at once. It only owes us its dance, and the dance gives us the world. We are not asked to solve it. We are asked to live in it gently, curiously, like listening to a lullaby in a language not our own. The human heart has long sought certainty. We crave rules like stone, but quantum physics shows us a softer truth. The world is woven from uncertainty, and it is stable because of that, not in spite of it. It is a quilt where each patch is stitched by chance, yet the quilt as a whole warms us without fail. It is a bridge built from fog, yet the fog holds strong enough for us to cross. This is not a trick. It is the deepest honesty of nature. The uncertainty is the structure. The maybes are the bones. You can think of your life in this way too. Each choice you make is like a particle's path. You cannot know both place and speed of your journey at once. You cannot lock every outcome. Yet as with the particles, your maybes do not mean you are lost. They mean you are alive in possibility. The steps you take collapse into one road, but many roads shimmer around you. This is the human mirror of the quantum world. To live is to dwell among options. To move is to settle them into a song. You are the coin spinning, the wave spreading, the leaf on the pond. And you are also the pattern that emerges when the ripples meet. Even art feels this. A brushstroke can hold many moods before the eye falls on it. A poem can hold many meanings before a reader chooses one. The act of seeing, of reading, collapses the cloud into clarity. Quantum physics whispers that reality itself is a kind of poem, waiting for eyes, for hands, for touches to give shape. Yet the poem exists before the reading. The waves hum before the collapse. We are both authors and audience, both question and answer, both fog and stone. In the quiet of night, when you wonder at the strangeness of all this, let it be a comfort. The uncertainty is not chaos, it is structure. It is the way of keeping balance, of allowing things to breathe. If particles were rigid, stars would dim. If choices were locked, life would stagnate. It is the looseness, the gentle blur that allows music, growth, warmth, and love. The world works not because it is simple, but because it is soft and strange and endlessly weaving. So rest with this final picture. A pond at dusk. The air is still. A stone drops and ripples move outward, crossing, folding, fading. In those ripples is the whole truth of quantum physics: uncertainty, spread, chance, and pattern. You cannot predict where every ring will fall, but you can trust the pond to hold them. The water does not fail, the ripples do not fail. The dance is quiet, yet it fills the whole surface with beauty. So too with the universe, so too with you. Nothing makes sense, but everything works, and in that gentle paradox there is peace. All around you, though you cannot hear it, there is music. It is not played on strings or winds, not struck on drums or keys. It is the soft vibration of existence itself. At the smallest scales, every particle hums like a note. Together they weave a song that fills the universe. This is not the kind of music that strikes your ears, but the kind that shapes your being. The quantum waves are threads of invisible music, flowing through air, stone, water, and bone. They are the hidden rhythm beneath all things, the unending concert that never began and will never end. Imagine yourself walking through a meadow at dawn. Dew clings to the grass and the world feels hushed. Yet beneath that hush, each drop of dew is alive with vibration. The atoms of water tremble, not in chaos, but in ordered patterns. The molecules stretch and bend like violin strings too small for sight. Even in their stillness, they sing. This is what the quantum world teaches us, that nothing is ever truly silent. The universe hums even when your ears cannot follow the tune. Think of the way wind brushes across a field of tall grass. The stalks lean and sway, not each alone, but together in waves. The grass does not invent the rhythm. It follows the air that sweeps through it. In the same way, particles do not simply sit. They sway in waves of probability, waves of possibility. The patterns of their swaying define how matter holds together, how energy flows, how the world unfolds. These invisible waves are the true score of existence, written not on paper, but into the fabric of reality itself. In the early days of quantum thought, this wave-like nature was a mystery. Scientists shone beams of light through slits and found patterns of bands, as if light were not only a particle but also a ripple. Electrons, too, revealed themselves to move as if guided by unseen tides. The mathematics that followed gave shape to this music. Equations began to describe the hum of the universe, not in terms of fixed paths, but in terms of waves spreading and interfering. Each solution to these equations was like a melody line, a map of where the notes might ring. Picture a piano with infinite keys stretching far beyond your reach. Each key holds a frequency, a tone. In the quantum world, particles occupy states much like notes. They can jump from one to another, shifting pitch as they absorb or release energy. A photon strikes an atom, and an electron leaps to a higher note, holding its new place until it falls back and sings out the light it cannot keep. These transitions are the music of matter, the way energy moves like song between levels of being. Even you sitting still are made of notes. The electrons in your body are not locked in place but reside in orbitals, soft clouds shaped by waves. These orbitals are standing waves, like the vibration of a string plucked at just the right length. Each orbital is a harmonic, a stable resonance, a balance of possibility and reality. Without these resonances, atoms would not exist, molecules would not form, and life would not bloom. You are a harmony of harmonies, a body built from chords of invisible song. Consider the hydrogen atom, the simplest instrument in the cosmic orchestra. A single proton and a single electron, yet already the electron hums with quantized energy levels. It cannot rest just anywhere. It must choose certain notes, certain standing waves, as if the universe itself only allows the pure tones. The hydrogen atom is like a flute with only specific holes open, forcing the music to fall. How certain scales, from such simplicity, complexity arises. The larger atoms add more strings, more keys, more harmonics, until the full orchestra of matter is formed. When you look at the stars, you are seeing this invisible music made visible. The colors of starlight are the fingerprints of atoms singing their notes. Each line in the spectrum is a tone, a quantum leap recorded as light. Astronomers use these lines to know what the stars are made of, to hear the music of helium, carbon, oxygen, and iron. The universe declares its composition not by shouting but by singing. Across light years, its chords reach your eyes, and you can almost feel their vibration in your chest. In the stillness of space, waves stretch farther. Photons travel across emptiness, carrying the hum without loss. Yet even in this silence, the fabric itself vibrates. Some theories suggest that space-time itself may resonate, holding deep frequencies we cannot yet detect. Like the bass line beneath a symphony, these vibrations could shape the whole flow of the cosmos. Perhaps the birth of the universe was not a bang but the striking of the first note, a resonance that still echoes in every corner. Think now of interference, the way waves can meet. Two ripples cross in a pond, and where the crests align, the water rises higher. Where a crest meets a trough, the water stills. The quantum waves do the same. When particles spread in possibility, their waves can interfere. They can cancel or reinforce, shaping patterns that become the reality we see. This interference is not chaos but composition. It is the layering of notes into chords, the weaving of melodies into harmony. The world is not random noise but structured song. And yet this music is fragile. It requires quiet, isolation, the absence of too many touches. In the bustle of the macroscopic world, the delicate waves collapse into certainty. The harmony folds into one note. This is why you do not see tables blur like fog or chairs shimmer like waves. The music is drowned out by countless interactions. But in laboratories where light is dimmed and temperature cooled, the invisible music can be heard again. Atoms interfere. Photons hum in unison. Superpositions return, fragile yet real, like faint echoes of a universal lullaby. When you close your eyes and listen inward, you may feel a strange kinship with this hidden symphony. Your heartbeat follows a rhythm. Your breath rises and falls like a tide. The neurons in your brain fire in waves, making patterns of thought and dream. Beneath all of it, at the smallest scales, the quantum hum continues. It is the ultimate rhythm, the pulse that allows all others. Your life is a verse in this cosmic song, brief but essential, woven from threads that vibrate since the dawn of time. Let us drift for a moment into imagination. Picture the universe as a great harp. Each string stretches from one end of space to the other, and the pluck of creation set them vibrating. We are the overtones of this grand instrument, the harmonics that rise and fall, the echoes that shimmer and fade. The harp does not silence when one note ends. It continues, always resonating, always weaving. We are part of its resonance, notes in the same eternal composition. In this vision, nothing is silent, nothing is still. Every atom is alive with song, every star is a chord, every galaxy is a symphony. The cosmos itself is the orchestra, and you are both listener and player. This is the truth of the threads of invisible music. They weave through you, hold you, define you. They sing not to be understood, but to be. And in their song there is comfort. For even when the world feels broken, the music continues. Even when your heart feels quiet, the deeper hum remains. Nothing makes sense, but everything works because everything sings. The invisible music of the quantum world grows deeper the longer we listen. It does not stop at atoms or molecules. It ripples outward, connecting to the colors of the world, the warmth of the sun, the flow of life itself. Every shade you see, every note you hear, every breath you take is built from these hidden vibrations. The quantum waves are not separate from daily life. They are the foundation upon which daily life rests, like roots hidden beneath a forest floor, unseen but essential. Imagine the soft glow of a candle. The flame flickers and its light feels warm. Yet beneath the glow is a choir of photons, each a tiny note released as atoms shift between states. Electrons fall from higher levels to lower ones, and each fall releases a packet of light, a note in the grand score. The color of the flame is the pitch of the note. Sodium burns golden, copper burns green, potassium burns violet. Each element plays its own melody, and the fire becomes an orchestra of matter singing as it transforms. Now think of your own eyes open in the dim light. Inside your retina, molecules catch the photons one by one. A photon strikes in a molecule. Yule bends, that bending is a chord change, a shift in the harmony of your body. From that tiny vibration, signals ripple through nerves and you see. Vision itself is a duet between light and matter, a quantum conversation carried by notes too small to hear. You are not only listening to the invisible music, you are made of it, and it passes through you with every blink. The invisible music also guides chemistry, the way atoms join into molecules. Bonds are not solid rods but shared vibrations. Electrons hum between nuclei, their standing waves forming patterns of stability. A molecule is a chord, a cluster of notes resonating together. Some chords are simple, like water with its bent shape and soft bonds. Others are complex, like proteins folded into elaborate harmonies. Life emerges from these chords, each cell a symphony of molecules, each body an orchestra of cells, all guided by the invisible score of quantum resonance. Think of a snowflake forming in the cold sky. Water molecules gather, guided by their bonds, aligning into hexagons. The symmetry is not random but born of quantum rules. The vibrations of electrons dictate how the bonds stretch, how the angles form, how the ice takes shape. The snowflake's beauty is a frozen chord, a crystalline song etched in silence. When it drifts to Earth, it carries that invisible music with it, a record of the quantum choir that sang as it froze. Now drift to the world of sound itself. When you play a note on a violin, the string vibrates in patterns. Some are fundamental, deep and steady. Others are harmonics, higher and lighter. Together they form the timbre, the color of the sound. At the quantum scale, the same is true. Electrons in atoms have fundamental states and harmonics, each a possible resonance. When they shift between them, the world sings out photons. The sound you hear and the light you see are parallel expressions of vibration. The violin's song and the atom's glow are born from the same logic of waves. This invisible music also explains warmth. Heat is not just motion but vibration. Atoms shake in their bonds, passing energy from one to another. When you place your hand on a stone warmed by the sun, what you feel is the resonance of atoms, the hum of bonds vibrating faster. At higher temperatures, the song grows louder until bonds break and matter transforms. Ice melts into water, water boils into steam. Each change is a modulation in the score, a shift of key in the music of matter. Light itself is a wave, and its spectrum is a rainbow of pitches. Red is a low hum, violet a high whistle. Beyond violet, ultraviolet sings too high for your eyes, and beyond red, infrared sings too low. These invisible notes still shape you. Infrared warms your skin. Ultraviolet paints the sky blue and powers the chemistry of life. Radio waves carry voices across continents. Microwaves cook your food. X-rays peer through bone. All are threads of invisible music, woven into the fabric of your world, present every moment of your life. Now imagine silence again. Not the silence of a quiet room, but the silence of deep space. Even here, the invisible music persists. Photons cross the void, carrying the songs of stars. Their frequency encodes temperature, motion, and history. The cosmic microwave background is the oldest song, the faint hum left from the birth of the universe. It is the first note of creation, still ringing today, stretched into a low whisper by the expansion of space. Astronomers listen to this hum, and in it they hear the story of beginnings, the first chords of the cosmic symphony. Life itself is attuned to these vibrations. In photosynthesis, light is caught and channeled through molecules that act like antennas. The energy does not stumble blindly. It flows through paths guided by quantum coherence, spreading like a wave and finding the most efficient route. Plants are musicians, tuning themselves to the invisible music of photons. Without this, the chain of life would falter. Every bite of food, every breath of oxygen, every beat of your heart depends on this gentle attunement to the cosmic score. Some creatures may sense even more of this music than you. Birds, for example, navigate by Earth's magnetic field, and there are hints that entangled quantum states in their eyes help them see the field. If true, their migration is guided not just by instinct, but by threads of invisible music humming in their very cells. The robin's flight across continents would then be another verse in the quantum song, a reminder that the hum is not distant or abstract, but woven into wings and journeys. The thought may feel vast, but it also feels intimate. The invisible music is not a metaphor only. It is the literal truth of your body and mind. The warmth of your blood, the glow of your thoughts, the binding of your DNA, all are chords resonating at the quantum scale. You are not a listener alone. You are an instrument tuned and played by the universe. And you speak, you add your own note to the cosmic song. When you love, you join your chord with another, weaving harmonies that echo in generations to come. Let us rest in this for a moment. Close your eyes and imagine the world as one vast symphony. Stars are brass, galaxies are strings, planets are percussion, and life is the woodwinds, soft but essential. Beneath it all hums the quantum foundation, the deep bass that never ceases. You are not outside this orchestra. You are a musician, and your song matters. The music would not be complete without you. Even in moments when you feel small, the invisible music holds you, reminding you that you belong to the harmony of the whole. This is the gift of seeing the quantum world as music. It transforms confusion into comfort, uncertainty into rhythm. It tells us that the world is not nonsense but song, not chaos but harmony. Every particle is a note, every bond a chord, every wave an echo. Together they form a composition that never ends, a concert that has played since the dawn of time. And though you cannot hear it with ears, you can feel it with wonder. The threads of invisible music weave through you, and they will continue long after your part has faded into the quiet hum. The threads of invisible music continue to flow, weaving together endings and beginnings. By now you can feel that this hidden symphony is not separate from the world you know. It is the secret foundation beneath every stone, every wave, every breath. To reach closure with this story is not to silence the music, but to accept that it never ends. It plays on whether you listen or not, whether you sleep or wake, whether stars burn or fade. The universe is never still. Its song continues, soft, patient, eternal. Think again of the standing waves in an atom, those delicate clouds of probability. They are not only mathematics, they are the blueprint for all matter. From these vibrations rise the colors of flowers, the taste of fruit, the scent of rain. Your senses are translations of the invisible music. When you see red, you are hearing a note with your eyes. When you smell pine, you are listening to molecules vibrating in your nose. When you feel warmth, you are touching the hum of atoms in motion. Every experience is a translation of this deeper score. Now let your imagination drift to the scale of planets. Earth spins, the moon circles, tides rise and fall. These are slow rhythms, vast beats in the cosmic song. They echo the quantum patterns, just stretched to larger stages. The cycles of day and night, of seasons, of orbits, are harmonies layered on top of the deeper vibrations. The threads run upward from the smallest scale to the largest, weaving coherence between what feels infinite and what feels intimate. A quark humming inside a proton, and a galaxy spinning its arms are both musicians playing different parts of the same score. Consider for a moment your own heart. Its rhythm is not a coincidence. Electrical impulses guide it, waves of ions crossing cell membranes. Each impulse is a flow of quantum charges guided by probabilities, stabilized by resonance. Your heartbeat is an echo of the invisible music. It is a drumbeat in the cosmic orchestra, steady enough to sustain life, fragile enough to remind you of your place in the song. Even your dreams hum with this rhythm, carried on waves of neurons that fire in pulses, shaping the images that drift across your sleep. The threads of invisible music also shape silence. True silence does not exist. Even when sound falls away, vibration remains. Air molecules still move, atoms still tremble, quantum waves still spread. The silence you hear is only the absence of certain frequencies. The deeper hum persists. To rest in silence is to rest in the bass line of the universe, the low notes that hold everything together. Silence is music slowed, softened, hidden, but never gone. This is why silence can feel healing. You are not without sound, you are immersed in the most fundamental song. Think of memory. Each time you recall a moment, neurons fire, connections shift, chemicals flow. These are not static processes, but dynamic ones, rooted in quantum chemistry. The bonds that change in your brain, the vibrations that carry signals, the light that enters your eyes and shapes your thoughts, all are threads of invisible music. Your memories are woven from notes too small to sense, yet strong enough to shape your life. In this way, you are a composition written across time, each memory a verse, each day a refrain. At the edge of physics lies a question: is the universe itself made of vibration? Some theories suggest that the fundamental building blocks are not particles but tiny strings, vibrating at different frequencies. If true, then the universe is literally music, each vibration creating the qualities of matter and force. One string hums at one frequency and becomes an electron. Another hums differently and becomes a quark. Together, the strings weave the orchestra of existence. Whether this theory is right or not, it holds a truth. Vibration is at the heart of reality. Everything you see, everything you are, is a song. Let us wander into the stars once more. Astronomers listen not only to light, but to sound waves that travel through the interiors of stars. These waves cause stars to oscillate, and by studying them, we can know their size, density, and age. It is called asteroseismology, the study of starquakes. In essence, it is the act of listening to the music of stars. The sun hums with countless notes, a rich spectrum of oscillations. You do not hear them, but they ripple through space. The stars sing, and by their song we know them. Now bring your gaze back to Earth, to the ocean. Waves crash, tides shift, currents flow. The rhythm of the sea is another expression of the cosmic score. Beneath it all, the water molecules vibrate, exchanging energy, resonating with the warmth of the sun and the pull of the moon. The ocean is a vast instrument, playing harmonies too wide for us to hear in full. But when you stand by the shore and listen to the surf, you are hearing one layer of the invisible music, translated into sound your ears can hold. The threads of invisible music are not only physical, they can be emotional too. When you hear a human voice, you hear not just air vibrating, but a life resonating. The emotions carried in a tone, the meaning in a word, are harmonics of experience. Behind them lie molecules vibrating, muscles moving, air flowing, all quantum processes at their roots. Yet from this foundation arises love, longing, hope, and comfort. The invisible music is not cold. It carries warmth because it makes possible the very feelings that bind us together. In closing this story, let us return to the image of a loom. The universe is the weaver and the threads are waves. Each wave crosses another, forming patterns of interference, of harmony, of beauty. The fabric is reality itself, and we are part of the cloth. We are not only patterns woven into it, we are also the ones who notice, who marvel, who listen. This double role is itself a note in the song, to be both creation and witness, both melody and ear. It is a gift of consciousness to hear the music that made you. So rest with this truth: the universe sings always. Its music is invisible, inaudible, yet inescapable. You live inside it, you are built from it, and you will return to it. Even when your part fades, the song will go on, carrying your echoes in its harmony. Nothing makes sense, but everything works because everything vibrates, everything resonates, everything belongs to the music. And as you breathe now, you can almost hear it, the soft hum of being, the threads of invisible music weaving through the quiet night. In the quiet fabric of the cosmos, there are bonds that stretch beyond touch, beyond distance, beyond the reach of even light. These are the entangled hearts of the universe, threads that join particles into one story no matter how far apart they drift. Imagine two sparks born together, leaping into the night. Though they fly in opposite directions, their essence remains linked. One trembles and the other answers, even across oceans of emptiness. This is not a chain pulled taut, not a signal sent across space. It is a togetherness written into their being, a single heart beating in two places at once. Picture yourself by a campfire, watching sparks rise and separate into the dark. To your eyes, they seem apart, carried away by the wind, but in the quantum realm, some sparks remain forever tied. Their properties, spin, polarization, momentum, are not separate facts but shared secrets. When one spark is asked its secret, the other reveals its own, perfectly matched, as though they had whispered the answer to each other before they parted. This bond defies the sense of space and time that rules your daily steps. It is as if the cosmos itself remembers their union and keeps it alive. Einstein once called this spooky action at a distance, for he could not accept that reality allowed such uncanny togetherness. He imagined hidden notes, instructions carried silently by each particle, waiting to be revealed. But experiments proved him wrong. The bond is not a trick. It is deeper than hidden notes. It is the song itself. When two particles entangle, they cease to be two. They become one system, one harmony, one entangled heart, spread across space like a melody sung in two voices that never fall out of tune. Now imagine two violins tuned together, placed in separate rooms. If you pluck one string, the other does not sound aloud, but its potential is shaped by the pluck. The notes are not random anymore, they are correlated. Entanglement is like this, but stronger, stranger. The link does not fade with distance, does not weaken with silence. The violins could be on opposite sides of the universe, and still their strings would hum together in hidden AC. Chord, this is the poetry of entanglement. Separation is an illusion, and connection is the deeper truth. Think of two dancers parting after a shared embrace. Their bodies no longer touch, but their rhythms still echo each other. A step here recalls a step there. A gesture now answers a gesture then. Entangled particles are like those dancers, forever carrying the memory of their shared dance. But in the quantum world, it is more than memory. It is a living link present in every moment. The dancers are still one performance even when they stand apart. These entangled hearts shape more than abstract thought. They are tested in laboratories with beams of light and streams of electrons. Physicists send particles down separate paths, measure them in separate places, and still find their answers intertwined. No matter how carefully the paths are isolated, no matter how far the detectors are spread, the bond persists. It is as though the universe refuses to treat them as separate. The math agrees, the wave function describing them is not two notes but one chord. Only when the chord is played do the notes reveal themselves, matched and whole. Entanglement does not stop at pairs. It can link many particles into webs of correlation, building networks of hearts that beat together. Imagine a choir, each voice separate yet bound to the others by harmony. Remove one voice and the chord changes. Keep them all and the chord glows fuller. In the same way, entanglement ties groups of particles into patterns too rich for one alone. These webs may stretch across molecules, across atoms, perhaps even across life itself. They are the fabric of a deeper unity, threads stitching the cosmos in ways unseen. Consider the sky at night. The stars shine as if each were alone, pinpoints scattered across blackness. But the entangled heart reminds us that solitude is an illusion. Beneath the scatter is connection, beneath the distance is unity. When you gaze at starlight, you are not looking at strangers. You are looking at kin tied to you by the same fabric that binds entangled particles. You are not apart from the stars. You are woven into the same cloth, humming with the same threads of possibility. In your own life, you may feel echoes of this truth. When you think of a loved one far away, sometimes you sense their presence as though distance were nothing. When you hear a song from your childhood, memory carries you back with immediacy as if time had folded. These are not quantum entanglements in the strict sense, but they mirror the feeling. They remind you that separation is never complete. Bonds remain invisible but real, carrying meaning across space and time. Physics tells us this is true for particles. The heart tells us it is also true for lives. Entanglement is fragile and strong at once. It can be broken by careless touches, by noise, by the warmth of the world. Yet when preserved, it resists distance, resists silence, resists even the speed of light. This fragility and strength mirror our own connections. Friendships can be broken by neglect, yet when cared for, they endure across miles and years. Entangled hearts, whether of particles or people, are reminders that unity requires both gentleness and resilience. At the edges of thought, some wonder whether the fabric of spacetime itself is built from entanglement, that the geometry of the universe, the shape of reality, is woven from these quantum threads. If true, then distance is an illusion born from connection, and the cosmos is not a vast emptiness but a tapestry of hearts beating together. This vision is not proven, yet it resonates with poetry. It tells us that we are not drifting islands but notes in a single symphony, stitched together by bonds we cannot see. Let us pause here with the image of two sparks in the night. They drift apart, yet remain one. They are separated by darkness, yet joined by light. They remind us that the universe is not as lonely as it appears. Beneath the silence is a hidden chorus, beneath the distance a hidden embrace. The entangled hearts of the universe beat quietly, waiting for us to listen. And when we listen, we may feel less alone, less apart, more a part of the whole. The cosmos holds us in ways stranger and gentler than we ever imagined. The entangled hearts of the universe grow clearer when we look at how they shape the very structure of reality. Entanglement is not just a curiosity in laboratories. It is a principle that reaches into the foundations of nature. It tells us that the world is not made of isolated parts, but of relationships, of links that refuse to be broken by distance. This truth unsettles the mind that craves separation, yet it comforts the heart that longs for unity. To live is to be entangled, both in physics and in feeling. Imagine a great net stretched across the night sky. Each knot in the net is a particle, each strand is an entangled link. The net is not static, it trembles and shifts wave. Pass through it and each movement touches the whole. A particle here may seem local, but in truth it is part of the net, inseparable from the strands that connect it. When we measure one, we tug at a corner of the net and the tremor ripples outward. The universe is not made of dots but of threads. It is woven, not scattered. In experiments, physicists test these threads with care. They create pairs of photons, send them to detectors kilometers apart, and measure their polarizations. The results always echo. The photons remain correlated in ways that cannot be explained by hidden instructions. The speed of light, the limit set by relativity, is not broken, but the bond exists outside of ordinary space and time. It is as if the photons are not two travelers, but one traveler stretched across two roads. When you look, you see one, but when you listen closely, you hear both humming the same tune. Now picture two mirrors facing each other with a photon caught between them. It bounces back and forth, but when entangled with another photon sent far away, its fate is no longer its own. The photon in the mirror chamber and the photon in the distant detector remain tied. This kind of setup is not fantasy but real, used in laboratories to test the boundaries of quantum mechanics. The mirrors and the detectors become part of the story too. Everything touched by the photon joins the entangled web. The heart of the universe beats across glass and distance, a rhythm that does not fade. Entanglement also has practical echoes. Quantum computers, still young, rely on these linked states. Ordinary computers use bits that are either 0 or 1, but quantum computers use qubits that can be both, entangled with one another. The entanglement allows them to perform calculations in parallel, exploring many possibilities at once. The result is not only speed, but a new way of thinking about information. Knowledge itself becomes relational. Answers emerge not from isolated bits, but from the harmony of entangled states. Even our tools of logic are being reshaped by the threads of invisible unity. Think of life again. In photosynthesis, when light is captured by molecules, the energy seems to spread like a wave across different paths, as if exploring all options at once before settling into the most efficient. Some researchers suggest that entanglement plays a role, allowing the energy to test multiple routes simultaneously. If true, then the green of leaves, the air you breathe, the food you eat, are all sustained by entangled hearts at the molecular level. Life may depend on this hidden bond, this quiet song that ensures energy finds its way. There are hints, too, that birds navigating long journeys might rely on entanglement. Their eyes may contain molecules sensitive to Earth's magnetic field, with electron spins entangled in pairs. These spins could respond together, helping the bird sense direction. If so, migration itself, the flight of millions of wings across continents, is guided by quantum threads. The robin on a fence post, the swallow in the sky, might be listening to the entangled hum, their hearts tuned to the hidden chords of the universe. Beyond biology, entanglement may weave the cosmos itself. Some physicists propose that space-time, the grid of reality we take for granted, emerges from entanglement. Imagine that the distance between points is not fixed by geometry, but by how strongly they are entangled. Places with stronger bonds feel close, places with weaker bonds feel far. In this picture, space is not a stage, but a song, built from chords of entanglement. Time, too, might be woven from these links, each moment arising from the correlations between states. If this vision is true, then the universe is not built from matter and space, but from connection itself. The thought is vast, yet it mirrors what you know in your own life. Relationships define your world as much as objects. A house is not just wood and stone, but the memories within it. A family is not just individuals, but the love that binds them. A friendship is not two people, but the space between them, the invisible thread that carries laughter and sorrow. In the same way, physics tells us that particles are not just points, but links, not just things, but bonds. The entangled hearts of the universe remind us that connection is the essence of existence. Consider memory again. A memory is not stored in one neuron alone, but in networks of neurons, entangled in patterns of firing. Recall is the reawakening of that pattern, the chord struck once more. Each memory you hold is a kind of entanglement within your brain, a link that persists across time. When you remember a friend's voice, you are reviving an echo of that bond, a resonance of neurons tied together by past experience. The quantum bond and the human bond share this truth, that unity can outlast distance and time. The more we learn about entanglement, the more it challenges our notions of separateness. In daily life, we trust boundaries. We draw lines between self and other, between here and there, between now and then. Entanglement whispers that these lines are softer than we think. The self is porous, the present is tied to the past and future, the local is bound to the distant. This is not a reason for fear. It is a reason for wonder. It means that no part of the universe is truly alone. Every point is joined, every heart is connected, every spark is part of the same flame. So let us close this section with an image of two hands reaching across a divide. Though the gap is wide, though silence lies between, the hands remain linked by an unseen thread. This thread is not fantasy. It is the entangled heart of the universe, the bond that cannot be broken by space or time. Whether in the physics of photons or in the longing of human souls, the truth is the same. Connection is deeper than separation. The cosmos is not scattered fragments, but a whole, beating softly with one heart, entangled across all that is. The entangled hearts of the universe bring us to a gentle resolution, where mystery folds into meaning. If everything is bound by invisible threads, then the story of the cosmos is not one of fragments, but of unity. Separation is an illusion painted by distance. The deeper truth is connection, a bond that outlives miles and years. When you see a star, you see not just light, but kinship. When you hold a hand, you hold not just skin and bone, but a thread that joins two lives. Entanglement is not only in physics, it is in the very way you belong to the world. Picture once more two photons born from the same spark. They travel apart, one to the left, one to the right, their paths diverging across space. Yet when one is measured, the other responds as if the question had been asked of both at once. They are not exchanging signals in haste. They are not conspiring with hidden plans. They are simply one system, stretched across space like a fabric. The act of measuring is like pressing your finger into a drum. The whole skin vibrates, not only the place you touched. In the same way, the whole entangled system responds, no matter the distance. The lesson here is profound. The universe is not built from solitary bricks. It is woven from relationships. Matter is not a collection of things, but a collection of bonds. The entangled hearts show us that being is not separate from being with. You are not only yourself, you are also your ties to others, to air, to water, to stars. The self is a pattern, not a prison. It is open, linked, porous. And this truth, while strange, is also a source of comfort. It means you are never truly alone. Imagine a tapestry, vast and intricate, stretching farther than eyes can see. Each thread runs its own path, but together they form a picture. You are one thread, vibrant and unique, yet your beauty is revealed only in relation to others. Without the web of crossings, there is no image. The cosmos is such a tapestry woven of entangled threads. Each crossing is a bond, each weave a moment of connection. The pattern is the story of existence, a story still being woven, still unfolding. Entanglement also reshapes our sense of time. Some experiments hint that particles can be entangled not only across space, but across moments. A choice made now seems to ripple backward, shaping correlations with measurements made before. This does not mean the past is rewritten like a page erased and redrawn. It means the universe holds past and present together in a fabric where sequence is softer than we thought. The flow of time is not a rigid arrow, but a woven strand where threads cross in unexpected ways. Past, present, and future may all hum in the same chord. This thought can be unsettling, but it can also be freeing. If time is woven, then every moment is connected. The memory of childhood, the breath you take now, the hope you hold for tomorrow, these are not separate beads on a string, but notes in a single melody. The song is richer than linear sequence. It is a harmony that holds echoes and anticipations, resonances across years. To live is to join this melody, to accept that you are not moving through time but participating in it, woven into its entangled chords. Even at the largest scales, entanglement may shape the universe. Some suggest that black holes, those mysterious wells of gravity, reveal their secrets through entanglement. The information they swallow may not vanish but remain encoded in entangled pairs, spread across the horizon. Others propose that the fabric of space itself is stitched from entangled qubits, as though geometry is born from information. If so, the stars, the galaxies, the vast web of cosmic structure, all rest on entangled hearts. The universe is not a machine but a song, not a grid but a fabric, not a void but a bond. And in your own heart, you know this truth. Love itself feels like entanglement. When you care for another, their joys and soar. Rows resonate in you no matter the distance. A friend's laughter can lift you across miles. A loved one's pain can ache within you though you are far apart. These are not quantum effects in the strict sense, but they mirror the same principle. Connection transcends separation. The entangled hearts of physics and the entangled hearts of people both remind us that unity is the foundation of reality. Let us return now to the image of the night sky. Countless stars scattered like sparks across velvet. To the eye they seem isolated, each a lonely fire. But beneath the surface the bonds remain. Gravity ties them into galaxies, light ties them into stories, entanglement ties them into one fabric. The night is not loneliness but chorus. Every star is part of the same system, every photon part of the same wave, every heart part of the same beat. To look up is to see the entangled heart of the universe glowing quietly above you. In the end, the paradox remains. Nothing makes sense in the way our minds crave, yet everything works with a harmony too deep for logic alone. Entanglement does not shout its reason. It whispers its truth, that reality is relationship, that the world is not a scatter of fragments but a whole beating with one heart, that you are not a solitary note but part of a chord resonating in unity with all else. The cosmos is not separate from you. It is you, extended, entangled, alive. So rest now in this realization. You are held by threads you cannot see, sustained by bonds you cannot break, joined to stars and atoms and people by a unity that does not fade. Even when you feel alone, the entangled hearts of the universe beat within you and around you. You are not apart. You are a strand in the fabric, a note in the chord, a spark in the embrace. Nothing makes sense, but everything works. And in that mystery is peace, the gentle pulse of an infinite heart beating everywhere at once. Time surrounds us like air, yet when we try to grasp it, it slips through our fingers. We carry clocks on our walls, on our wrists, in our phones, each ticking with steady certainty. But beneath those ticks lies a softer truth. The universe does not keep time the way we do. At the smallest scales, in the hush of quantum physics, there is a time without a clock, a rhythm without a hand to mark the hours. It is a flow measured not by seconds but by changes, not by calendars but by shifts in possibility. To step into this world is to step into a garden where past and future blur like mist at dawn. Imagine standing in a forest at twilight. The light is neither day nor night but something between. The shadows stretch, the colors soften, and you feel both yesterday and tomorrow lingering in the air. Quantum time is like this twilight. It does not draw sharp lines between before and after. Instead, it holds them both at once in superposition like two overlapping songs. A particle can take more than one path, and those paths can meet again, weaving interference patterns that carry echoes of both histories. The quantum world does not ask which path first. It allows both, until the world itself presses for an answer. In ordinary life, we trust cause and effect. A glass slips from the table, it falls, it shatters. But in the quantum realm, cause and effect are less rigid. Experiments have shown that the choice of how to measure a particle can seem to shape its past, as though asking a question now can decide what answer was true before the question was asked. This does not mean the past is rewritten like ink on paper. It means that past and present are linked in ways beyond our language, like roots and branches connected through the trunk. Time here is not a line but a tree, and you are always moving within its living wood. Now think of the flow of water in a stream. To your eye, the water moves forward, but any given drop swirls, eddies, loops backward, dances in circles before joining the main flow. The river still moves, yet its details are not straight. Quantum time is like this. The larger flow may seem steady, but at the smallest scales, currents loop and wander. A particle may leap across a barrier it should not pass, tunneling as if borrowing time from nowhere. An atom may vibrate in rhythms that blur one moment into the next. The river of time holds eddies of uncertainty, and these eddies shape the world we see. Consider, too, the idea of timelessness. Some equations of physics, when stripped of human clocks, describe the universe without reference to time at all. The wave functions that govern particles do not tick forward like a clock. They simply exist, spanning all possible configurations. In this view, time is not fundamental but emergent, like a melody arising from vibrations on a string. The notes come in sequence, but the string itself holds the possibility of all notes at once. Time without a clock is the music beneath the melody, the silence that allows rhythm to form. Your own body holds traces of this timelessness. In sleep, when you drift into dream, minutes may stretch into hours or collapse into moments. In meditation, when breath slows, time can dissolve. Even memory betrays time's fragility. A scent can carry you decades back in a heartbeat. A thought can leap forward to futures not yet born. These experiences mirror the quantum truth. That time is less like a ruler and more like a fabric, folded, stretched, knotted. Your mind is already entangled with this fabric, whether or not you notice. In laboratories, physicists create conditions where quantum time reveals itself. They send particles through paths that split and rejoin, and interference patterns reveal that the particles carried both timelines until measured. They test delayed choice experiments, where decisions made later seem to influence outcomes earlier. These results do not violate causality in the way of paradox stories, but they reveal that our notion of a fixed timeline is incomplete. Time is softer, more flexible, more mysterious than the ticking of a second hand suggests. Think of a meadow at dawn with dew still clinging to the grass. The rising sun warms the drops and they vanish into mist. In one sense, the moment is gone. In another, it lingers, the warmth remains, the mist rises, the memory holds. Quantum time is like this dew, present and gone, past and future mingled. What has vanished can still leave traces, what is yet to come can still shape what is now. The meadow itself is timeless, holding all its mornings in the pattern of its soil, its stones, its seeds. So too with the cosmos, holding past and future within its fabric. Even space itself is not immune to this softness. Einstein showed that time bends with gravity, slowing near massive stars, stretching in the emptiness between. A second on Earth is not a second in orbit, nor a second near a black hole. If time is elastic at cosmic scales, why should it be rigid at quantum ones? The truth is that time is always a weave, shifting and adapting. Our clocks measure one pattern, but the deeper fabric hums with rhythms beyond our counting. To live in time without a clock is to accept that change is more fundamental than seconds, that becoming matters more than being. So rest for a moment with this thought. You are not a passenger on a straight line of time. You are part of a fabric where moments overlap, where past and future meet in whispers, where the present is not a point but a field. This does not erase your days or your hours. It enriches them. It reminds you that each breath is not only now but also memory and possibility. Time without a clock is not absence. It is abundance, a spaciousness that allows the universe to unfold in ways more gentle and strange than any ticking hand can tell. The time without a clock becomes clearer the deeper we look into the ways the universe keeps its rhythms. We often imagine time as a river flowing endlessly forward, carrying us from birth to death, from beginning to end. But in the quantum world, time feels less like a river and more like a shimmering lake, where ripples move outward and inward at once. Past and future touch each other here, and the present is not a knife edge dividing them, but a broad surface where echoes and anticipations meet. To live in such a world is to live in a song, not a march, a melody that circles and overlaps rather than a drumbeat that drives straight ahead. Think of a pendulum swinging. To the eye, it passes left, then right, then left again. We measure its swings in seconds, neat and predictable. But inside the atoms of the pendulum, electrons shift, protons vibrate, quarks hum in patterns that cannot be so neatly divided. Their dance does not tick to the beat of the clock on the wall. Their rhythm belongs to probabilities, to waves of possibility collapsing and reforming. Time here is not measured in steps but in chances, not in units but in unfolding. Each moment is not fixed but fluid, a haze of what may be until it is asked to declare itself. In this haze, something remarkable happens: choice. The outcome of a quantum event is not determined until it is observed or interacted with. The future is not written in stone but suspended in possibility. To say time flows is only half the truth. To say it branches may be closer. Each moment contains many futures, each possible, each humming quietly in superposition. When one is chosen, the others do not vanish but remain as whispers in the background, the roads not taken still part of the landscape. This branching is not fantasy but mathematics, the way quantum equations describe reality. Time without a clock is not a single thread but a loom full of strands, weaving many directions at once. Consider the double-slit experiment again, that famous whisper of quantum strangeness. A particle passes through two openings, not choosing one or the other but exploring both, its wave stretching across possibilities. Only when it reaches the screen, NLY when measured, does the path become singular. In that stretch between source and screen, time itself seems uncertain. The particle's journey holds multiple timelines, collapsed only at the moment of touch. This shows us that the order of events is not as rigid as we once thought. The universe allows possibility to linger, to hum across the space between past and present. Experiments known as delayed choice tests make this even more striking. Scientists decide after a particle has passed through slits whether to measure it as a wave or as a particle. Astonishingly, the outcome still aligns with the choice made later. It is as though the particle's past behavior depends on a future decision. Of course, no paradox destroys causality. Instead, the experiment reveals that time at the quantum level is not a straight arrow. It is a fabric where later stitches can tighten or loosen earlier ones. The story of a particle is not written until the whole experiment is read from beginning to end. Time without a clock is not chronology but coherence. Now let your thoughts drift to cosmology. At the birth of the universe, in the first instance after the Big Bang, time itself may not have existed in the way we know it. The equations suggest that space and time unfolded together, like two threads drawn from the same spool. Before that, asking when loses meaning, for there was no clock, no before, no after. There was only potential, a timeless state that gave rise to time. In this way, the very origin of the cosmos speaks of time without a clock, of a beginning that is not measured in minutes but in emergence. Your own life reflects this strange truth. Think of moments when time seemed to dissolve, watching a sunset, holding a newborn, listening to a favorite song. Minutes feel like hours, or hours collapse into moments. These experiences are not bound to the rigid ticks of a clock but to the quality of awareness. Time feels full when you are present, thin when you are absent. This subjective elasticity mirrors the deeper elasticity of time in physics. Both remind us that time is not a uniform flow, but a flexible field shaped by context, by attention, by connection. On the cosmic scale, time bends with gravity. Clocks on satellites run faster than clocks on Earth's surface because gravity slows time. Near a black hole, time stretches so much that what feels like minutes to one observer may be centuries to another. This shows us that time is not absolute but relational. It depends on where you are, how you move, what surrounds you. Even in relativity, time already shows its softness. The quantum realm extends this softness further, showing that even sequence itself may blur. Even the division between past and future may be less than absolute. To think of time in this way is to rethink memory and expectation. Memory is not just a record of the past, but an active thread woven into the present. Expectation is not only a projection into the future, but a force shaping what happens now. Quantum time suggests that memory and expectation may be more deeply tied than we think, that the act of remembering and the act of anticipating are part of the same fabric. You carry the past and the future within you, not as separate boxes, but as threads woven into your present being. Let us rest here with an image, a web of dew at dawn. Each drop sparkles with light, each reflecting the others. Past, present, and future are like those drops, each containing echoes of all the rest. The web does not have a start or an end. It exists as a whole, glistening, timeless. To live in time without a clock is to see your life as that web, not as a line. Each moment is a reflection, a resonance, a shimmer of possibility. You are not moving through time. You are resting within it, suspended in the web, part of the glistening whole. The time without a clock comes to its quietest meaning when we see how it closes the circle between physics and life. In our daily world, we cling to hours and minutes, marking days with calendars, dividing years with seasons. Yet beneath these divisions lies a more delicate truth. Time is not the ticking of machines, but the unfolding of change. Atoms hum, stars burn, lives begin and end. This is time without hands, without faces, without the sharp teeth of seconds. It is the rhythm of becoming, the gentle tide that shapes all things without counting them. Imagine a forest in autumn. Leaves fall one by one, not because the clock strikes, but because the air cools, the days shorten, the tree responds. Time here is not measured, but lived. It is the turning of color, the drift of wind, the quiet settling of leaves on the ground. The The forest does not need a clock to know its hour. It breathes time naturally, each branch, each root, each bird in harmony with the unseen rhythm. This is the lesson of the quantum world too. That time is not an external ruler, but an internal song, a pattern that emerges from the weaving of the whole. At the smallest scales, particles flicker between states, their behavior guided not by a march of seconds, but by probabilities. The universe does not carry a stopwatch. It carries correlations, patterns of how one event ties to another. A photon's arrival is linked to an electron's leap. An atom's vibration is tied to a molecule's bond. These links form the fabric of time itself. When enough of them accumulate, we call it duration. When they flow in sequence, we call it history. But beneath those names is only relation, only change, only the quiet hum of connection. This hum means that past and future are not as separate as they seem. Some experiments suggest that what we choose to observe now can shape what path a particle seemed to have taken before. It is as if the universe waits for the story to be complete before deciding how to tell it. Time, then, is not a line laid out in advance, but a tale woven as it is read. Each stitch in the fabric of reality depends not only on what came before, but on what comes after. The story is whole, not sequential, and we are always inside its telling. To grasp this is not to lose the comfort of clocks, but to see beyond them. You still need hours to meet a friend, minutes to boil water, seconds to catch a bus. But behind those numbers is a deeper rhythm, one that cannot be broken or rushed. It is the rhythm of stars forming, burning, fading. It is the rhythm of galaxies drifting apart, of space itself stretching. It is the rhythm of your heart, your breath, your thoughts. These rhythms do not measure time, they are time. The clock is only a translation, a symbol of something too vast and soft to capture fully. Let us think of sleep. When you close your eyes, you step into dreams where time dissolves. Hours pass in minutes, or minutes stretch into lifetimes. In dreams, the clock is silent, yet you still experience change, still live through sequences of events. This is time without a clock, felt in the most intimate way. The quantum world tells us that this is closer to the truth of reality than the rigid ticks we trust when we wake. Time is experience, not machinery. It is presence, not numbers. It is the breath of the cosmos, slow and deep. Black holes remind us of this mystery too. At their edges, time slows almost to a stop. An outside observer sees an object hover at the event horizon, never quite falling in. But to the object itself, time flows as usual, carrying it across the boundary. Which is true both. Time is relative, elastic, shaped by gravity and perspective. At the quantum edge, time is even more flexible, even more surprising. It is not absolute. It is woven, relational, emergent. To know this is to know that our clocks are maps, not territory, and the real territory is far stranger. And yet in the strangeness there is peace. To live in time without a clock is to live in trust. You do not need to know the exact moment when a seed will sprout, only that it will. You do not need to count the beats of your heart, only to feel its rhythm. You do not need to measure the universe's expansion to know that it continues. The quantum world shows us that becoming is more fundamental than being measured, that the story is more important than the calendar. We are carried forward not by seconds, but by unfolding. So rest with this final vision, a vast sky, stars scattered across it, galaxies drifting, light traveling for billions of years. To us, these numbers are immense. To the universe, they are not numbers at all. They are simply the unfolding of patterns, the hum of existence stretching across silence. There is no clock in the sky, only motion, only change, only song. You are part of that song, a verse in the melody of time. Your days are brief, but they are full. They are woven into the fabric that holds past and future together. Nothing makes sense, but everything works. And in the rhythm of time, without a clock, you are exactly where you belong. Emptiness has always seemed simple. When you clear a room, you expect still air and bare walls. When you look between stars, you expect void. But the truth whispered by physics is softer, stranger, and more alive. The empty space that isn't empty surrounds you always, filling even the gaps between atoms in your skin. What we call nothing is, in fact, a restless sea, a fabric alive with hidden motion. It is a silence filled with humming, a darkness filled with flickers. To imagine space as still is to miss its most intimate secret. Emptiness is not absence but presence, not quiet but song. Picture standing in a great hall when everyone has gone. You expect silence. Yet faint sounds linger, the creak of wood, the hum of pipes, the sigh of settling air. Empty space is like that hall. It holds not stillness but whispers, not vacancy but potential. At the quantum level, space seethes with virtual particles appearing and fading, like sparks flashing and vanishing before your eyes can adjust. These are not illusions, they are brief realities born from uncertainty itself. The vacuum is restless, alive with pairs that touch existence for a heartbeat and dissolve again, leaving ripples that still shape the world. Think of the surface of a pond on a windless day. It looks calm, but beneath the glass, tiny swirls churn unseen from above. Empty space is like this. To our eyes it looks smooth, but inside it is filled with fluctuations, fields trembling at their lowest energy. Even when stripped of all matter, all radiation, all visible light, space retains this hum. It is called vacuum energy, the irreducible ground of being. Like the lowest note of a cello, it persists no matter how much sound you strip away. The emptiness sings with a tone too deep for ordinary ears. This hidden fullness of emptiness explains why particles exist at all. Fields stretch through space, and even when quiet, they are never silent. The Higgs field, for example, fills the cosmos like invisible honey, giving mass to particles as they move through it. Without this invisible sea, no atom would form, no star would burn, no life would bloom. The so-called void is not a barren stage, but the actor itself, shaping every role, giving substance to every player. Emptiness is the deepest fullness, the quiet engine of existence. Consider light traveling across billions of years from a galaxy long gone. Between that galaxy and your eyes lies not nothing but this restless vacuum. Along the way, the light interacts with invisible fluctuations, shifting slightly, bending subtly. Astronomers must account for this invisible sea when they measure the cosmos. Even the fate of the universe may rest on it. Observations show that space itself expands faster and faster, driven by what we call dark energy. This may be nothing more or nothing less than the energy of empty space, the push of the vacuum unfolding the fabric of the cosmos. Your own body carries echoes of this invisible sea. Inside every atom, empty space holds far more volume than particles. The nucleus is tiny compared to the atom's size, and the electrons reside in diffuse clouds. Between them stretches what seems like nothing. Yet this nothing is alive with quantum fields, binding particles, shaping structure. You are not solid in the sense of being filled. You are mostly emptiness, yet that emptiness is not void. It is the field that makes atoms possible, the sea that holds you together. You are built from the fullness of nothing. Now imagine silence in a deep cave, no wind, no sound of animals, only the dark. Even here, soundless air still vibrates faintly with molecules. Empty space is the same. Remove matter, remove light, remove heat, and still it vibrates. Virtual particles come and go, fields quiver, energy pulses. Physicists test this truth with experiments like the Casimir effect, placing two metal plates closed together in vacuum. The plates are pushed together, not by air, not by light, but by the pressure of vacuum itself, by fluctuations between them. Even nothingness can press, can act, can move. This changes how we think about the cosmos. The stars, the galaxies, the matter we see are only small ripples on top of the ocean of emptiness. The vacuum dominates, shaping expansion, guiding formation. What feels like the stage is really the main character. The universe is not objects floating in space, but space itself humming with unseen energy. To live is not to inhabit emptiness, but to dwell within fullness, a fullness hidden beneath silence. Nothing is not nothing, it is everything. Let us pause here in the image of a night sky. Between each star stretches what appears to be void, yet that void is alive. It hums with quantum fields, it births and reabsorbs particles, it carries the energy that drives galaxies apart. You look into the dark and see nothing, but behind that nothing is the most important something of all. The empty space that isn't empty is the true ground of existence. It is the canvas and the paint, the silence and the song. And though it seems distant, it surrounds you now, holding you gently in its restless, unseen embrace. The empty space that isn't empty deepens in mystery when we look closer. What seems like silence is in fact a chorus. What seems like stillness is in fact motion. To the human eye, emptiness is absence. But to the equations of physics, emptiness is the stage upon which all presence rests. Without the sea of vacuum energy, matter could not form, light could not travel, and the universe itself could not expand. This truth humbles us, for it reveals that what we thought was nothing is the most important something of all. Imagine holding your hands apart in a dark room. Between them is air, molecules drifting, vibrations invisible to your eyes. Remove the air, pump out every particle, and you might think nothing remains. But physics whispers otherwise. Even the most perfect vacuum still trembles with fields, still gives rise to flickers of een. RGY, virtual particles spark into being, pairs of opposites, matter and antimatter, appearing and vanishing in less than a heartbeat. They are not ghosts. They are real enough to leave traces, like faint footprints in fresh snow. These flickers prove that the vacuum is alive, a cauldron of possibility forever bubbling. One of the most haunting effects of this bubbling is Hawking radiation. Near the edge of a black hole where gravity bends space beyond return, virtual pairs emerge. One particle falls in, the other escapes, carrying energy outward. Slowly, gently, the black hole evaporates, its darkness undone by the brightness of empty space itself. Thus, even the most voracious void is not eternal. It is shaped, softened, and eventually dissolved by the fullness of nothing. The silence around a black hole is not silence at all. It is a whisper that unravels giants. This whisper is measurable in more subtle ways too. The Casimir effect, where two metal plates are drawn together in a vacuum, shows that vacuum energy is not metaphor but force. The plates feel pressure from the absence, squeezed by the difference in virtual particle density inside and outside. Nothing presses on something and the something moves. This is emptiness with weight, with touch, with consequence. To imagine vacuum as void is to overlook its strength. Even absence can act, can bend, can shape reality. Now think of the expansion of the universe. For decades, astronomers expected gravity to slow it down, to draw galaxies inward, to make the cosmos fall back on itself. But instead, the opposite is true. The expansion is speeding up, as though some hidden hand pushes outward. This hand is called dark energy, and the simplest explanation is vacuum energy itself, the hum of nothing driving the growth of everything. If true, then emptiness is not passive but creative, not dead but vital. It is the breath of the universe, exhaling galaxies farther apart. Your body, too, carries the mark of this hidden sea. Between the particles in your atom stretches far more vacuum than substance. The space inside you outweighs the matter that defines you, yet this space is not absence. It holds the fields that give your particles mass, the fluctuations that bind your molecules, the restless hum that sustains structure. You are more emptiness than substance, but that emptiness is the very thing that makes you possible. Without it, your form would collapse. The hollow spaces within you are full of silent strength. Consider again the Higgs field, discovered not long ago in our history. It is invisible, all-pervading, silent, and yet essential. Without it, particles would remain massless, unable to form atoms, unable to bind. The field gives weight to the universe, like a sea giving buoyancy to ships. The Higgs boson, the so-called God particle, is simply a ripple in this sea, a visible note in the invisible song. Its discovery confirmed what theory had whispered, that emptiness itself is substance, that what we call void is the foundation of all matter. This leads us to a paradox as deep as poetry. The vacuum is the lowest possible energy state, the ground floor of reality. Yet even at this floor, energy remains. We cannot strip it away. We cannot silence it. It is like a string that hums even when unplucked, like a drum that resonates even when no hand strikes it. This irreducible hum means that existence itself is never truly quiet. The universe always vibrates, always breathes, always sings, even in its deepest rest. Let your thoughts drift to the night sky again. Between the stars lies darkness so complete it seems eternal. Yet in that darkness, photons stream, fields quiver, particles flicker. The stars themselves depend on this emptiness. nuclear fusion in their cores, tunneling across barriers, borrowing energy from uncertainty, all rely on the restless fabric of space. Light leaves stars, travels through emptiness, and reaches you only because the vacuum carries it without end. What looks like nothing is the most faithful messenger, bearing light across billions of years without faltering. In daily life, we rarely think of this. We walk through space as if it were background, we breathe air as if it were filler, we live as if the stage were not part of the play. But the stage is the play. The emptiness holds us, carries us, shapes us. It is the sea in which we swim, the silence in which our voices rise, the dark against which our light shines. The empty space that isn't empty is not distant or abstract. It is here now, in the gap between your thoughts, in the quiet between your breaths, in the stillness that makes sound possible. So let us pause with this vision: emptiness as fullness, silence as music, darkness as light in disguise. The vacuum is not absence but abundance, not dead but alive. To see this is to change how we see everything. The universe is not made of objects floating in void, but of patterns woven in fullness. Nothing is N. Nothing is the most profound something we know. And in that paradox lies beauty, a beauty that softens fear and fills silence with wonder. The empty space that isn't empty reaches its quiet conclusion in the vastness of wonder. To call it nothing is to miss its true nature. It is not absence but foundation, not void but presence, not silence but a hum too soft for ears. What we take as gaps and hollows are the very weave that holds the cosmos together. To close this story is not to leave emptiness behind, but to see it as the gentle ground upon which all things rest, the unseen current that flows through stars, through atoms, through you. Imagine again the night sky, black and endless between scattered stars. The dark appears empty, but this is illusion. Within the darkness, space trembles with invisible fields, restless and alive. Photons cross that dark, carrying messages from galaxies older than Earth. Virtual particles flicker in and out, brief sparks in a sea of possibility. The vacuum itself stretches, driving galaxies farther apart, carrying the whole universe outward like a tide. To gaze at the dark is to gaze at fullness disguised as absence, a fullness that shapes your every breath. Even in your own body, the emptiness sings. Atoms are almost entirely space. The nucleus is tiny, the electrons are spread in soft clouds, and between them lies what looks like nothing. Yet that nothing is filled with fields, with energy, with the quiet hum of quantum presence. Without it, matter would collapse, chemistry would fail, life would vanish. You are built not upon substance alone, but upon emptiness. You are more void than matter, yet that void is the most powerful part of you. You live because the emptiness is alive. Black holes remind us of this paradox most clearly. They are born from collapse, from matter falling into itself, from space bending into silence. Yet even they cannot escape the fullness of vacuum. Hawking radiation seeps from their edges, a whisper of virtual particles becoming real, escaping into the universe. Over unimaginable ages, even the deepest voids dissolve, undone by the hum of emptiness. Nothingness unravels nothing. The quiet heart of the cosmos is never still. It sings until the end of all things, and perhaps beyond. This truth reshapes our sense of meaning. If emptiness is alive, then there is no true void, no true loneliness. Even in silence, you are surrounded by connection. Even in darkness, you are held by light unseen. Even in the gaps of your own heart, where you fear absence, there is presence. The vacuum does not leave you. It sustains you, supports you, fills you. You are never without it. The space between thoughts, the pause between breaths, the quiet between words, all are full, all are alive. Emptiness is not what you lack. It is what you are. Let us linger in a simple image. Two hands reaching toward each other in darkness, not yet touching. Between them is space which looks like nothing. But in truth, that space is alive with energy, with fields, with the hum of existence. When the hands meet, they meet not across void, but across fullness. The touch is possible because emptiness is not empty. The space between holds them, joins them, allows them to connect. Every embrace is shaped by the fullness of the gap. Every moment of closeness made possible by the hum of the vacuum. The universe itself is shaped by this truth. Its expansion, its fate, its very structure are tied to vacuum energy. Without it, galaxies would not drift apart, stars would not shine as they do, the cosmos would not grow. Emptiness is the engine of creation, the force behind the unfolding. When you look at the stars, you see their light, but you also see the stage upon which they shine. The stage is not silent, it breathes, it hums, it pushes outward. The performance of the cosmos is carried by emptiness itself. In your own life, emptiness carries meaning too. The pause in a song makes the notes sweeter. The silence in a poem gives the words weight. The stillness of night lets you hear your own heart. These are reflections of the cosmic truth. Emptiness gives shape, gives depth, gives possibility. Without pause, there is no rhythm. Without space, there is no form. Without silence, there is no sound. Emptiness is not lack but gift, the background that allows presence to shine. So let us end here, not in nothing, but in fullness disguised as nothing. The empty space that isn't empty is the cradle of stars, the breath of galaxies, the fabric of your body. It is the hum that never stops, the presence that never fades, the foundation that never fails. Nothing makes sense, but everything works because emptiness itself is alive. You are held by it now in every breath, in every thought, in every quiet. And when you rest, when you close your eyes, when you drift into silence, remember, even in emptiness, you are never alone. The vacuum sings, and you are part of its eternal song.